All right, welcome back, boxing fans. We are here with none other than former IBF Light Heavyweight champion William Guthrie. William, thanks for talking with Fight News today. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure, man.
All right. We're here in your home, beautiful home in a nice section outside of Philly. You said you've been here for just about a little under a year.
Yeah, a little under a year. My girlfriend, she's from Philadelphia. When I retired, I moved to Florida. We went to Florida. Then in Florida, I have a few homes, but Florida was mainly where I stayed for the past 15 or so years. Just since retiring, no, was I there that long? Yeah, almost 15 years. I retired in 2001. We left 02 or something, 01 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
After 9/11, we went to Florida. I went to Florida. And I was there up until a couple years, a few years or something ago. Came back a couple of years. Started looking for a house, and so it's being around. She's from the area. She got homesick. I said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to leave the beach. I live right here on the water. I want to."
Yeah, but
I just want to walk the sand. I just want to I'm real laid back. I just want to don't be around nobody here where I live here in Florida. You don't even hear horns blowing. People don't blow their horns. Nobody's beeping or cursing or screaming. It's just laid back.
Yeah.
But she wanted to come back to Philadelphia, so.
The lady always wins. but nice job, nice job. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about your beginnings in the sport and then kind of bring it all the way up to today and what you're doing today. Now, what I had read is that you followed your brother Gary into the sport. Is that true?
It's kind of funny. Well, I started as a kid, as a baby. I started boxing in '71 originally, but then up until about, I want to say 79, 80 or something, like I stopped for a few years. And he started back in the early 80s, mid 80s. He started boxing because we had left. We lived in the projects in downtown. We were born in the worst projects ever built in the United States.
In St. Louis.
In St. Louis, it's called the Pruitt-Igoe Housing Project.
Okay.
I think you can look it up on Netflix or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were born there, being raised there. We had a chance to move out of the projects. Well, everybody had to leave when the military came in and made everybody leave. We left in the mid-'70s, so we moved to the north side of St. Louis. And as crazy as it sounds, my mother picked the worst area. To this day, it's still the worst area in North St. Louis. It's called, in St. Louis, it's called Vietnam, this little section. So it was Vietnam when we went, it's still Vietnam today.
Wow. Wow. So you came up through the ranks in the St. Louis amateur system and you won several St. Louis Golden Gloves.
Well, St. Louis was a real tough amateur boxing program. During my era, one of the toughest amateur boxing programs in the entire United States.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody thinks of the Spinks brothers when they think of St. Louis.
Oh yeah.
Amateur boxing, they came up through that.
Yeah.
And but you excelled. You had 5 St. Louis Golden Gloves titles, the '85 National Golden Gloves title, and the '86 Olympic title. Were those at light heavyweight, or was it middleweight?
Middleweight was considered. I fought 65. I
Yeah.
think 56 and 65 during that time. So. Yeah.
Okay.
I was a smaller guy, but I was such a big puncher, and so they would shift me and have me fight 56, have me fight 65, have me fight 78. I was a small guy, but I was really strong with both hands, and I was pretty smart, I think. As far as moving in the ring, I could punch and move and stuff. So.
Now, because of the timing, you were, I would assume, looking to try to make the '88 Olympic team. Is that true?
Yeah, I wanted to make the '84 team. Then I wanted to make the '88 team. Yeah,
Mhm.
I wanted to make the '88 team.
Now, did
I
you
really wanted to make the
enter the
88.
trials? Did you get to a certain point?
Well, I entered the trials. I don't know that you know. I entered the trials in '88, and in 1988, 3 boxers were put off the Olympic team for drug testing. I was one of them.
Okay.
Uh,
So I
at
was
the
going to ask
box
you who
off.
beat you. That's what beat you.
Well, no, it didn't. What happened was, we didn't find out until later that it was a concoction of, um, I don't know like what can be done about it, even if anything could ever be done about it. But the United States military were doing some kind of thing with the Olympic program.
Mhm.
They were giving a lot of money
Okay.
to the Olympic program. They wanted some military fighters, athletes, to be able to compete in the Olympics,
Right.
and they wanted to find some of the athletes in different sports, not just boxing, but boxing was also one of the sports they wanted to have military, a military presence, guys from the military on
Right.
the team.
Andrew Maynard,
And-
for one.
Yeah. And so what happened was they came up with this thing that there were a few boxes they could put in the weight class. Just so happened, my weight class was one of them. Anthony Hembrick was from the military,
Mm-hmm.
and Lavelle Finger was from my hometown.
Okay.
He was fighting a kid from the military, and this other kid was fighting someone from the military. So they said, "Hey, listen, we'll say that they test positive for drugs. Oh, that would be easy. We know that Guthrie is supposed to be some drug dealer." They said something about me dealing drugs. There was a rumor that I dealt drugs because I would always have money of the young kids. And one of the kids, they said, well, he admitted to smoking marijuana years before the other kid. I can't think of his name. He's from Louisiana. This was in '88. You'll be able to find it. At any rate, Lavelle Finger, who he was born and raised in the project with me. He's a twin. I know the whole family. Never did drugs, never touched a cigarette, never touched alcohol. And to this day, he's never taken a sip of beer. He won't drink.
Mm-hmm.
He won't. And he's a devout Muslim.
Okay.
He's always been. But not just because of his religion, he just won't do drugs. He won't do it. They concocted this whole story. And no, I never did drugs. I was drugged and beaten one time when I was a kid. Somebody put something in the drink.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never smoked. I don't do drugs. I was born in a family where I witnessed a lot of drugs. My mother and father were addicts, heroin addicts. So I never did drugs. And I had 2 little brothers, 2 little sisters, and I raised them. And they'll tell anybody to this day, he won't do drugs. And if we do drugs, he won't speak to us. And it's been that way since we were babies. It's still that way today. Yeah, never will I do drugs.
So that's what kind of screwed you over in
Yeah,
trying to make the
that
games.
kind of screwed me over. I'm the first fighter. I don't even know. I'm the first athlete from the amateurs in any sport to ever take them to court, and an arbitrator ruled that they did something crazy. Give me my opportunity. What he didn't do was order them to let me fight regardless of my weight. So the following morning after the ruling, I had to fly from St. Louis to Colorado Springs to fight Anthony Hembrick. In a 2 fight, I had to beat him twice. He only has to beat me once.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to make the weight. So I get out there, 15 pounds or so heavy. I have 4.5 hours to make the weight, 2 hours of rest, and then make the fight. So I have to make the weight. I get really close. I think I lost 12, 13 pounds, 11 to 13 pounds or something. And I was so dehydrated I had to go in the hospital.
Oh, man.
But I tried. But it didn't happen.
Uh-huh.
But life didn't turn out too bad for me. I was able to bounce back and
You got past that. So
yeah, get past it.
that led to you turning pro. And now, when did so before we get into your pro, when did you pick up? I saw one of your nicknames was KO King, and then another one I saw was Chocolate. So which one?
Well, chocolate was first.
Uh-huh.
That was given to me right during the amateurs. A guy, I want to say a guy named Tony Sutton. Tony Sutton was the trainer. One of the trainers was Michael Spinks,
Okay.
and he's one of the guys in the Michael Spinks entourage, one of the trainers. And he started calling me Chocolate a long time ago, years ago, before I turned professional.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Spinks and I are from the same hometown. He and his entourage would come to St. Louis. We were from the same housing project. Born, raised in the same housing project. I remember as a young kid, being 7, 8, 9 years old, how we all wanted to be like the Spinkses. Because, yeah, I mean, we had a city tournament, St. Louis City tournament, boxing tournament. That city tournament, you won trophies that were taller than you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, more than the trophy, more important than the trophy, you got a jacket. That jacket said that you were the champion, the city tournament champion. That jacket enabled you to be able to walk anywhere in the city, go from any neighborhood to any neighborhood, and people saw you with that jacket, and that jacket represented something.
Yeah.
So as a young kid, that was my dream, was to get that jacket, was to have that jacket, because then I didn't have to fight these
To get
people.
from neighborhood to neighborhood.
No.
That was like your
That
immunity
was
jacket.
that was immunity. People, I mean, everybody said, "Hey, yeah,
Uh-huh.
all right."
Yeah.
That jacket made you solid,
Hmm.
and so, yeah, to be like the Sphinxes, to have those jackets, city tournament, the Golden Gloves jacket, those jackets, man, they were like they were platinum.
Yeah.
They were platinum.
Man. So you turned pro, and on your way to what eventually became a 24-0 record, you reeled off, I think, your first
Eight.
8 fights. Yeah.
Eight
And
no
then-
and 8 knockouts.
Then you got caught. So,
Well,
so what happened? Talk about
it's
that.
kind of crazy. They had been on me for quite some time, even prior to that, leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
The government and the state, different states or whatever.
Now, were you still
I
a St.
tried
Louis
not-
resident at the time?
Yeah, I was still a St. Louis resident.
Okay.
I had places in other places, the other cities, other states and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I called myself trying to be smart, a wise guy,
Mm-hmm.
trying to be smart and make money in the street. And it caught up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to go away and sit there and think about my life, my choices, and what I wanted to do with my life. Whether I wanted to be in jail for the rest of my life, did I want to wind up dead? And that was more likely what would have happened with me, because mine was a really rough kind of upbringing. Mine was full of the fighting and shooting and all that stuff. So
Right.
more than likely for me, I would have wound up dead. There was no, I'll wind up this way, that no, I would have been dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to prison. I made a choice after being there that that was it for me, and I could do something different with my life. I could be a better person. So I made that choice. The rest is history.
So statistically, we both know that's not an easy choice, and a lot of guys that came up through your circumstances are able to make that choice. The recidivism rate, and they just kind of keep going back. But for you, would you say the choice was easy, knowing what, you know, your life could have been and what you really wanted? And if so, how hard was it to stay away from the people that, you know, you had hung around with before and just go on a different path after you got out?
Oh man, making a choice was, because for me, I'm a thinker, you know, I have to think. Making the choice was easy, but having to deal with the choice was hard, was extremely hard, because now you have to deny yourself a lot of things that you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was hard. Being away from friends or people that were so-called friends, people that were from the community and from that world, it wasn't as hard for me as it was for a lot of people that I knew who tried it and failed. For me, it was life or death. And that was the way I viewed it. That was the way it's always played in my mind. It's either life or death. And so, as long as it's been that way for me, I'm an extremist. I've always been an extremist. There's never been a middle ground for me from the extreme. The line is extremely thin. It's not wide. It's real thin. Either you're on this side or you're on that side. It's hard skipping over every now and again. Everybody can skip across and come back every now and again. So it's best to pick a side and stay on it. Now, when it comes to being a psychopath, that's another story. Because although the line is thin, there are some people who know how to stay on one side. Every now and then, they'll skip across and come back. Skip across. As being a psycho. Man, some people, they go for years without going on a killing spree. We see it all the time.
Sure.
And then they go off, and you say, what happened? They come back right back across. They're normal again. I said, well, why didn't they catch them people? They catch them 20 years later. They said, well, he killed somebody. And this year, he killed 7 people. Then he didn't do nothing. He killed 13 people. What happened? You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what made him do it. But for me, I don't want to go kill anybody. I don't want to go sell no drugs. I don't want to go commit no crimes. I just want to be left alone and can have fun. I love chess, so every now and again I'll go somewhere and play some chess.
Mm-hmm.
I have some friends who play a lot, and we'll call and talk trash to each other. They'll ask me where I'm at, and I have friends all over. Like I said, I'm fortunate. I've been I've been an amateur boxer. I was boxed all my life. I met people from all over the world. I have friends all over the world. So if I want to go to Ireland, I can get up and fly to Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little beautiful town in Ireland called Cork.
Yep.
Been there.
See?
Yeah.
Cork, Ireland. Beautiful city. Beautiful town. You would be surprised. Wimpy's. You like Wimpy's? The Wimpy burger in Cork. Yeah. You go back, you get it. Wimpy burger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't eat them, but I always suggest them to people. I'm a vegan, so
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, man.
So you got out.
Got out.
How hard was it to get back? Did you have concerns about picking up where you left off? Was that the plan right away? I'm going to pick right back up where I left off in the ring, or did you think about maybe not even continuing, or
No,
how did that process
I
go?
knew that I wanted to fight. I knew the only thing for me was to get out and go back to boxing. And I had promised my mom. I sat down with some people who were really, really important to me. There's a guy who was a cut man, one of the best cut men on the planet, if not the best, Jim Strickland. you know Strickland. If you're in boxing, Jim Strickland is the most honest human being. I've been with them all. I go back to Eddie Futz days, to Georgie Benton days. To me, the two greatest trainers of all time. I wasn't around in the 30s. I wasn't around in the 20s. I wasn't around in the 50s. I do research. I know how to look and pay attention. The two greatest boxing trainers on the planet, hands down, Eddie Futz, Georgie Benton. I may have said it wrong. I was trained my first 8 pro fights. I was 8-0 with 8 knockouts. Eddie Futz in my corner every time. Came out, fought with a couple of people. Georgie Benton took the reins with me. We went on. We had a good time. Then I was one of the first guys. I think I was the absolute first person to notice and to be able to pick out, know his situation medically. He had Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And I knew that before he knew it because my grandfather, my mother's father, had Alzheimer's. And when I was a young kid, I was the only kid of all the grandkids. And my mother had 20-something siblings. She come from 12 girls, 10 brothers. She come from a big family. I was the only grandchild my grandmother would allow to spend time by myself with my grandfather. I could take him for walks. I could take him for rides all the time. Just me. My grandmother always trusted me to be with my granddad and keep him safe. And I did that prior to me leaving to go to prison. Georgie had Alzheimer's. And it took a while for me to notice it, to realize it. But there were stages where different things were happening in the gym. He would say something to me. He would cut my workouts short. He would say, all right, you had enough, that's it. I just got dressed. It's enough. And I won't argue with Georgie, I love him. Mm-hmm. You don't argue with your trainer. Right. You don't. I come from a different era. Nowadays, they argue with the trainer. I'm paying you, you're not, Yeah. They do anything nowadays. Yeah. Everything's been changed around. Yeah. During my time, you got to the gym, you got dressed, you did what he said. That was that. He wanted you to do 20 rounds, you did them. He wanted you to do 70 rounds, you did them. He wanted you to get out and run 3 miles after that or 9 miles after that. You did it. You just did it. The same way your mom told you to go do this, go do that, go do that. You did it. Mm-hmm. There was no, why?
Yeah. So you rattled off another 15 wins when you got back, and you were poised for a shot at the IBF title. Now, again, we talked about how some stuff on the internet about you isn't true or whatever, but I read that you had to sue to get the opportunity to fight for the title. Is that true?
And even in that case, it's wrong.
Okay.
I countersued. I didn't sue.
So tell me about the lawsuits both ways, what that was all about.
So how it started was I knew going into the agreement with Don King that he was a piece of, excuse my mouth. I knew going into the agreement with him that he would mess himself around with me. But I also knew that I'd be further ahead than I was at the point of signing. So I took a gamble and signed anyway. But he did exactly what I knew he would do. But what he didn't know is that what he never knew my plans. He never understood me. He thought I was just any other fighter, like all the thousands of fighters that he had signed before. And unfortunately for him, I wasn't. So when he did what he did, then it was my turn to make my move. So he didn't pay me right the first fight. The first fight I started attacking him. He says, well, I won't do this. Well, my attacks are different than normal attacks. People go out and make a lawsuit. No, I'll send 15 guys and they'll pistol whoop you. Different, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next time we'll take 15, 20 guys and they'll beat you with bats. You got guns, okay, it'll be 10 guys with guns, bigger than the guns that your 5 guys got, or bigger than the guys that your 10 guys got, because now it's 30 guys with guns, and you only have 10 guys with guns, and they'll beat you guys with bats. And so now you go get some more guys, then I'll get more guys than that. So I played his game better than he played his game for a while. And then he says, hey, he was going to sue me. Good. Sue me for what? He said he's going to sue me for stuff I did to him. No problem. I'll tell the truth. Where I come from, if you spit on me, I don't call the police. I wasn't raised like that. I was raised, you spit on me, then I'll try and get your tongue out of your mouth. So I told the truth. The judge says, hey, listen, what happened? For a while, I got fined in the court because I was explaining what happened verbatim. You can't get me to make up words that are different. Why do you fine me? Keep making me pay this amount of money every day because I'm answering the question. He cursed at me, I cursed at him. Do you understand?
Yeah.
He cursed at me, I cursed at him. You want me to make up words that weren't true? Oh, he said this, he said that. Well, I don't know if I could say what he said. No, you ask me a question, I'll tell you what verbatim. He called me this, and I called him that. He said this to me, and then I did that. And so it was a back and forth thing, and the courts found it. After a while, they understood, and the judge even said, hey, listen, I agree, no more fines, and I, if you guys keep asking him those questions, it's fair for him to tell the truth. If he's telling the truth, it's fair for him to tell the truth. And I had a phenomenal attorney. My attorney was Elliot Spitzer at the time. And,
Okay.
Elliot, phenomenal attorney, and so things worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Elliot's my attorney today, still to this day.
Wow. So you eventually got your shot at the vacant IBF title.
Yep, I got my
against
shot
Darren
and I
Allen.
won.
And he had been, his claim to fame, he had been a former amateur world champ.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a couple losses coming into that fight, but it was you and him. What was your mindset going into that? How much did you know about him? Were you
as an amateur, I'm the only
underconfident?
person to ever beat him at the Ohio State Fair in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. So you had faced him before. You were familiar
I
with
faced him before. I was familiar with him, and I knew that I would kill him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way, unless he killed me, unless a helicopter fell out of the sky, something fell in the ring and hurt me, something happened. He was not winning. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way he would beat me. Not that night.
So in your first defense, you faced former middleweight champ Reggie Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And things didn't go the way you'd hoped for. Talk about that first defense and
In my first defense, leading up to the fight, getting prepared, I didn't know all these things were going on with me medically. Never knew it, never paid attention. All I knew is going to the fight, I had problems. My weight had ballooned up. And it was such a problem for me getting the weight off. I did everything. I didn't eat this, I didn't eat that, I didn't drink this, I didn't drink that. You'd have thought I was eating like a pig. Because all the way up until 2 weeks or so, just under 2 weeks, weight was so much on me. It was so much weight. Then all of a sudden, within those last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, the weight started to come down. Like I lost crazy weight in that short period of time. and I was just so drained and dehydrated. Now, I didn't know what it was. Then, I took off. I took off for a year. Didn't box. Said, I'm going to relax. Boxing's, I'm making so much money. I'm making a lot of money. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I'm investing here, investing there. I'm making money, and boxing's kind of pulling away from me. Maybe I box, maybe I burn myself out or something. That's what I'll take off. I took off for a year. I came back, went to training, and I fought Michael Nunn. Well, the same thing happened. I got knocked out. I got beat. But the difference in that fight was I was ready, and there was something wrong with me, and I knew it, but I didn't know what it was. I went to the hospital. They found out I had a tumor, thyroid tumor, and my brain was rubbing my skull. There wasn't much fluid in my head. Where it went, they didn't know. They couldn't tell me. So it was a matter of me having to get an operation and get myself together. And even back then, they didn't do the operation right. They never did it right. So, all fast forward, all these years later, here recently, I had to have an operation. It's healed up. Can you see the? You probably can see it there.
Yeah.
They had to go in and cut and take a tumor, 4.5 pound tumor, out of me. But they had to take a piece of bone, a little bit more than a quarter of an inch of bone from my tonsil, thyroid section, and take that out. So all these years, I've been struggling with that, having those problems with me, high blood pressure, weight always crazy, yeah. And when you don't know stuff, you just don't know it. You can have a lot of money, you can have anything. When medical issues start happening,
So
game over.
after the Nun fight, you had some time off, you came back, and then you kind of had a series of fights where you were all over in weight, and even almost like a small heavyweight, like over the cruiserweight limit.
Yeah.
And was that still part of this thyroid issue?
I think it was, because just here recently now, I'm got that taken care of, and my weight just, I'm not in good shape or anything now, but oh man,
You're comfortable.
Had you saw me and talked to me about a year and a half ago, you could have a conversation, and you'd say, "What'd you say again? What'd you say?" And slurring my words. I hope I'm not slurring today, but I'm slurring my words. I'm forgetting this and forgetting that, and I think it's a combination of things. With this thing with CTE, with the
Right.
encephalopathy,
Right.
traumatic encephalopathy, with getting hit upside the head. We've been hit upside the head so much, it has an effect. It does have an effect over time. If you think that getting punched in your head doesn't have an effect, you're out of your mind. It has an effect.
Sure.
It has had an effect, not just on me, on all boxers. We're no different than a football player. Football players don't get hit in the head as much as we do.
And yet all these studies are coming out about the football
And
players.
yet,
So if it's
all
happening
the
with them,
studies come out for them. If it's that way with them, the boxer, his whole intention is to hit the other guy in the head. Every opportunity. The football player gets hit in the head every so often. The boxer, consistently. Do you think there's not anything wrong with the boxer, and there's something wrong with the football player?
no way. So you kind of stayed around the game for a few more years. You had a tough fight against Revere Springs. Got stopped late in that fight. Do you feel
No,
like
that
was
went to this. Was it real? Oh,
it's written as
yeah.
TKO 11,
Yeah, it
but
was. Sure,
that's okay.
sure did. Sure
Do you
did.
feel like that was a case of fatigue, the weight, or was it just that he was that good of a boxer? Or
No. I think it was a case of all kinds of stuff. Me not doing what I'm supposed to do. Me not being focused. Me not being myself.
and maybe that what you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
boxing was kind of getting away from you a little
Boxing was
bit.
getting away
and
from me.
So you were there in the ring, but not the
Not me.
the old you.
No, nowhere near. Not 20% of me that night. No.
So would you say, after you had 18 years as a pro, not counting all your amateur fights, was it a case of when you decided to walk away, I don't need this anymore? Heart's not in it.
My heart wasn't there. My body, emotionally, I wasn't there. And when I got to that point, I knew that it was time for me to say, yeah, it's time for me to go. You know, one of the things that's kept me sane, I don't know if that's sane, I think I'm insane, I'm a nutcase. But I think one of the things that's kept me kind of on track is that I've always said that I was a young kid and being in such a bad environment around all these people, I can read people pretty well. I've been around the worst of them, the absolute worst of them. I could read them, and they often liked me. When they didn't like nobody else, they liked me. They could tell that I could read them, and I could communicate with them. Killers. When I say killers, I mean killers. They could just smile and very rarely raise their voices above a certain octave. They were just soft-spoken people, really nice, soft-spoken, but killers. As long as I was able to be around these people and communicate with them, being in boxing was a kind of an easy thing. I knew it was time for me to walk away from boxing once I got to a point that I didn't want to be, I don't ever want to be in boxing and I'm hustling. Hey, I'm a world champion. I got a pretty, former world champion. I got a pretty decent record. So I'm sure they'll give me some money to fight this kid. I'm sure they'll pay me right to fight that kid. Only it's to build that kid's record. So I'll take the money, not me. Not me.
You didn't want to be anyone's stepping stone.
No, never. I never want to. I love boxing. I really love it. Even in its worst state, I love boxing. I have a lot of respect for it because it taught me so much about respect. Taught me so much about self-respect, and I would never want to try and hustle it. And in fact, I've gotten upset with other boxers that I know. I could see them hustling it. And if I see them in person, I'll tell them, you hustling? Leave it alone. Stop doing that. Don't do that. I don't appreciate that. Don't do that. I don't like it. And besides that, besides the hustle of the business, the game, there are several kinds of ways you can hustle. If you're doing it and it's good, it's not hurting you, it's not hurting somebody else, that's fine. If it's hurting you, it's bad. because your family suffers even if you don't see it. You see? You took the money. They didn't benefit from the money because they lost more of you in the ring. Does that make sense? They lost more of you in the ring that night. You were already lost. But now they have to deal with another injury. You follow me?
Yeah.
Wasn't worth it. So, yeah, I don't want to box because I don't want to give any more of what I have.
Do you
Mentally,
believe it's been
socially,
10 years
spiritually.
since you walked away?
Yeah, it's been 10 years.
A decade.
Wow.
How does it seem like the time has gone by? Does it seem like it hasn't been that long, or does it seem like forever ago, or a little of each?
I don't know. I guess.
You
A
seem
little
surprised
bit.
when I said 10 years.
10 years, yeah. 10 years. 10 years since I was. Yeah, I guess it went by so fast. Went by real fast. And I don't count it. I don't think about it anymore. I don't go to fights a lot. And it's hard to tune into them and really pay attention because a lot of the stuff is bull crap. So, yeah.
So you you don't follow it too much. You're not really
too much. People
involved
ask
in the
me
game.
about this fighter and that fighter. I don't really know them too much. Keep up with a lot of them. Of course, I know who Conor McGregor is. I know who Floyd Mayweather is.
Yeah.
Of course, I've been knowing Floyd since he's a young kid. I'm crazy about him. Crazy about him as a human. Me and his dad and his uncles are great friends. Me and Roger are super tight. Mad love for Roger, mad love for Floyd's dad, and the entire family. But yeah.
What's your
Floyd's
thoughts about
fight.
Floyd taking this fight? I mean, obviously, there's dollars everywhere.
Of course. I would think that he's crazy not to take the fight. Who wouldn't take a fight like that? The fight benefits him. Doesn't benefit the other guy.
Yeah. So
Hey.
does this count as one of those things where you're saying it's not hurting anybody, go ahead and do
Doesn't
it?
hurt anybody. Doesn't hurt anybody. I mean, you think about it. I mean,
Does it hurt the sport?
I don't think so. The way today is, we're in a different time. We're in a completely different time. And so, because we're in this time, and the way this time works now, it's not hurting the sport. I don't know that you could hurt these sports nowadays. I mean,
The bar keeps changing with every sport.
I don't know that there is a bar anymore. I don't know what people look at as being bars or boundaries. Everything's so wide open nowadays. A person can come on television and say anything. They can criticize anything. People are able to just say whatever. Our children can speak to our parents anyway. I mean, mine can't.
Yeah.
Of course, mine can't. But I mean, I'm just saying that's the way the society. Oh, don't say anything to the kid. You shouldn't raise your voice at them. Oh, you should say, hey, I got hit upside the head all the time. I don't know if it's boxing or it's my mom knocking the shit out of me. Excuse me, mom. You might want to edit it.
Oh, that's all right. You're being
But,
real.
I mean, I just, for the life of me, I don't understand why people are so caught up on not really policing the way young people are.
Well, William, this has been an eye-opener and a great privilege and opportunity to chat with you and get to learn a little bit more about you. What would you like to say to some of the fans that may remember you and kind of didn't know whatever happened to William Guthrie?
I don't know. just I'm still alive. I'm still still kicking, and keep supporting boxing. Keep supporting boxing. Boxing's an awesome sport, and yeah, just keep supporting boxing and the boxers. Give them a lot of love and try and understand them. It's not a lot. I'm happy. I boxed. It was such a blessing, and now I'm moved on to another chapter, not the next chapter, but just another chapter in my life. And thanks. God bless you. Thank you, brother.
All right, thank you.